Hi, I'm DJ Ware. On this episode of the CyberGizmo, I'm going to be looking at Parrot OS, but not the one you think, right after this. So I'm going to be looking at Parrot OS Home, and I am going to be looking at version 4.9. We'll do an install on it, and we'll talk a little bit about it first to tell you what it does and what it is. So there's two versions of Parrot OS that are, I guess, the major versions of it, and that is Parrot OS Home. That's merely meant to be a daily driver, and it has a very lightweight system that's around it. So it's a low memory footprint and a relatively small disk footprint as well. But it does offer private chat, and it also allows encryption for your files and documents. You can surf the web anonymously as well. And Parrot OS Security has all those same features as OS Home, but it also includes the all-in-one environment for pen testing. It has a digital forensics mode, it has reverse engineering, and it also has software development. So one of the things that people use Parrot OS Home for is to build custom environments for their own pen testing environments, which is certainly possible. Maybe you don't want all the tools, maybe you don't need all the tools, or maybe some of them are so old that you don't. Now, I'll have to say this about Parrot. It's much better than Kali is about keeping things updated. Some of the tools in Kali are a little bit outdated. And so you might, if you are using Kali, you might consider Parrot because they do a better job of keeping the tools a little bit more modern, a little bit more fresh. So it's not to say that their versions are out of date, it's just that some of the tools that are on Kali are out of date. It's not a slam, it's just, I mean, Kali is very popular, but in my experience that Parrot OS is much better. System requirements are you need a dual-core x86 64. That's right, you heard me right, 64-bit processor. 2 gig of RAM, DDR2 at least. This is the first time I've ever heard any of the distros specify what type of RAM to use. 20 gig of hard drive space, and there's probably been some. I'm just telling you that's the first time I've heard it. So recommended system configuration, quad-core x86 64 again. 8 gig of RAM, DDR3, and 128 gigabyte SSD. Now, I think that's really not more for home, but rather more for the security version because of all the tooling and the files and the storage that it needs in order to keep cat files around. But yeah, I don't think you'll need anywhere if you're using this as a daily driver. I rather doubt that you would need that much, but. There are some reasons for using larger SSDs, and primarily the reason behind it is that the 128 gigabyte SSDs are generally slower than the 256. 256 are generally slower than the 512, and the 512 are slightly slower than the 1 terabyte. So and that's just how the function of those SSDs work and how memory is addressed and accessed. So yeah, the smaller SSDs are generally slower. At least that's been my experience. Maybe you guys know of ones that aren't, but my experience has been, at least over time, they've been slower. Parrot OS was initially created in April of 2013, so about 7 years ago. Lorenzo Felletra was, and still is, he was the original author, and he still is the lead, I believe. And this was developed as part of Frozen Box. Latest release, 4.9, was released in April of this year. It's based on Debian Bullseye, not so that's not out yet. So that is not a stable release, but you know it is a rolling release, and so you get what you get. So this is probably the test version of Bullseye. I'm guessing it can't. I don't think it's SID, the SID version. That would. That wouldn't have a name, it would be SID. But the Linux kernel is 5.6, and we'll check that to see if it's still that way. That was the information that's on their site. But there are some experimental versions as for ARM as well, and Raspberry Pis 2 and 3 are supported. I don't know if they have plans to support Pi 4, or maybe it just hasn't been tested. But it can also run on Docker and Cubes OS, and also in VirtualBox. I'm going to be installing this today in Proxmox, and it runs there as well. So, although I don't think it's listed because I just don't think they've tested it. Yeah, everybody has to be careful. You know, they can't say they support something if they haven't tested it, right? So software supply, Tor, of course, the Onion router. And the Onion Share, that's a utility that allows you to share files of any size over the Tor network, both securely and anonymously. Yeah, I've talked about Onion Share before. A non-SERP is something that's provided with Parrot OS so that if your operating system is making communications back to the internet on its own, like checking for packages, or maybe it's sending information to other developers. Maybe you're sending it through Git or something like that. You have some command line apps. Those will go through Tor if you have the non-SERP on. It also supports FireJail, and it also supports AppArmor. The desktop environments are Mate and KDE. I would say XFCE, but unfortunately I didn't find an ISO for XFCE. And the documentation page for XFCE says basically TBD. So that might be a future development for just to support XFCE, but currently Mate and KDE are the only two releases I could find out there as an ISO. So how can it be installed? Well, there's a number of ways you can install it. There's the live version, which is non-persistent, so any data you save is gone when next time you reboot. There's also a way that you can persist the parts of the live version, not all of it, but you can persist some of it. And then there's another way I didn't have on here, which is persist encrypted. So your data will be encrypted that is persisted. So yeah, if you're capturing sensitive information, particularly in the security part of it, maybe you're doing some pen testing for a customer and you don't want that data exposed because that would give somebody a leg up on how to attack that particular company. But then it also can be dual booted with Windows, Mac OS, alongside Windows, alongside Mac OS, or alongside Linux. I suppose for it to boot alongside Mac OS, it would have to support Boot Camp. Since, the Mac OS is not very friendly to traditional ways of booting. But of course, you could always run it under virtual machines as well under the Mac OS. Although VirtualBox is a little bit weird under Mac OS. But you can also do a traditional install to a hard drive as well, of course. NVIDIA GPUs are supported, but sadly it uses the old tedious install method. Yeah, you probably know what I'm talking about, where you have to get rid of the old Nuovo driver first and then get NVIDIA convinced to install. Yeah, having to switch into single user mode is just not fun, but that's the only way you can do it. OpenCL runtime, well, I'm sure it's not the only way. It's the way I do it. Let's put it that way. OpenCL runtime, if you don't have an AMD processor or an NVIDIA GPU, you can still run OpenCL, although not quite as fast, but you can do it with the Intel built-in graphics. So, and that's the first time I think I've ever seen that in a distro where the distro actually supports that method. Yeah, Intel's had that for some time, but most of the distros, I don't know, they just kind of shy away from that, or they just don't stand up and say, yeah, we support that, or yeah, we tested that. So that's an interesting twist. Parrot OS is very different from other distributions. First of all, they don't hide their internals like some of the other major distributions do. Parrot update reminders will come out once a week and notify. They'll nag you so that if you start to get behind, you don't want to do that in a rolling release. You don't want to get behind, or you'll run into package conflicts. So it'll nag you and it'll say go update, and you better, or you'll be reinstalling probably. But the other interesting thing is, remember I said a couple times, maybe you've heard some previous videos where I said we always default to closed. And Parrot OS defaults all of the network services to down. They're always down, always off. And there's some good reasons for that. And I have to admit, I wish other distros would take that approach, because I want the choice. I'll enable the ones that I want to expose, but I don't want to have a whole bunch of stuff out there that I have no idea what it's doing, have no idea what it's for, and it's not anything I installed. It came with the distribution. So I kind of like this, where I can just bring up the ones I want, and that'll be fine by me. And then I can arrange my firewall around that to give me one other layer of protection as well. So I like that. I really like that idea. So I guess with that, I need to go to full screen mode here. And we'll do that. Let me get this out of the way. As usual, let me get that out of the way. And I've already got this installed, at least as far as the virtual machine. Now I've configured this with 2 cores, 4 gig of memory, and well here, 4 gig of memory, 2 cores. I'm using the BIOS. I'm using Spice, and I have 32 gig of disk. And so this is the initial boot. I guess what I should do, let me shut this down and we'll reboot it, because there's something important that you should see on the live CD startup. So let me just bring it down. We'll wait for the green arrow to go away. Eventually it will. Maybe. Okay, so let me start it up. There it goes. I'll bring up the console. Okay, so let me see. Is this going to snap back? Nope. Great. Okay, so as you'll notice here, I have a number of modes. So my live mode, I have a terminal mode. I'm not sure what the RAM mode does, but I can go read the documentation, I guess, and find out. But this is what they're talking about: live mode persistent, live mode encrypted persistent, and then you have a forensics mode, which I suppose would be used to analyze an infected system. So if you do get infected, you can blow it away. And then a fail-safe mode if you're trying to disable your old video cards and put up a new one. So, and then you have a standard install down here, and then there's some advanced options. But we'll go ahead and bring it into live. It's all we're worried about today. Hopefully it'll come up. I didn't break it. Okay, so first thing I want to do is let me get some real estate on here. Let's see, is it in system? No, it's here. There we go. There's so many distros to work with, it's hard to remember what one does what. Now this won't save this, so I'll have to do this again after we install. But you know, you can use it just like this. I mean, you don't have to do any install if you don't want to. I mean, you can just use the live CD or the live USB if you want. But we're going to install this. So yeah, this is Calamari's, as it says. See what version it is. 3.2.23. Okay. And it doesn't have my location. Network is probably the time server is off, or I think it uses time server to do that. But yet it has the times. So, well, let's see. I don't want to do manual. I don't want to encrypt it either. Not for today. You might want to. It uses LVM. Of course. All right. And then we'll go ahead and get this going. Install it. And I'll be back. This will probably, let's see, it's 14:15, and we'll see how long it takes. So it took about 4 minutes, 4:18, and we're ready to restart. So I'll just go ahead and do that. I'm going to try this. It should automatically know. I mean, this is similar to Debian, so. Yep. Priority. Hard drive priority. I'll probably have to set the screen again because I'm sure it didn't save it. Okay, yeah, we'll do that. That was the nag. So, we'll know what that looks like. Let me go up here and do this. Yep. So obviously this is Mate. Yep, you can check, but I bet you won't find any. Yep, didn't think you would. So, given the fact that it just downloaded this, so the updates are current. Let me, I suppose I could probably drag this out just a bit. Nah, it's not gonna go much further. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we've got here. So first thing we need to do is look at the wallpaper, right? The most important thing in any Linux distribution. So let me see if I can get this kind of off to the side. So red, yeah. That is the Andromeda Galaxy. And we got the Parrot, and then looks like, yeah, I've seen that one. That's one of the older ones. Pretty nice. Let's see. Ugh. Not my cup of tea, but maybe it's yours. Oh, now that's nice. I think that's a pretty decent ones. I just want to see what else they have. I guess that's a Nova. Now, and I know that if you should be careful of things like this one, especially if you're running Kali, that if you have the dragon showing, people know what that is. If you're in a coffee shop and you open up your laptop and that dragon's on your desktop, you're probably going to have to talk to the police because they'll probably call them on you. Just saying. Yeah. Hey, let's see ones like that. That's pretty fancy. I like that one. I think I'll keep that one. So, okay. Let's see what we got. So we've got we got a menu down here, and then we've got the menu up here in the traditional form. So let's see. Let's see what we got. Let's go up here, I guess. So we have privacy. There's a non-surf. Now I don't have a Tor network up, so this will fail if I try to bring it up. But there I can encrypt, and there's a number of ways to encrypt both you can create encryption directories and those kinds of things. This is another one. Which one of those is best? I have not played with Zulu enough to really tell you if it's any good or not. But I do see it an awful lot. So I guess if it wasn't any good, it would be disappearing, right? Standard.LibreOffice, a Trill, Mate Dictionary. Internet, we have a Bitcoin wallet, Firefox, HexChat, Onion Circuits, BitTorrent, Ramina, Ricochet, and then the Tor browser. Let's see if this is this actually on here, or is it going to download it? It's going to download it. Is it downloading? No, that's not downloading. That's bringing it off the package. That's way too fast to be a download. Okay, let's see. Yep, it works. It's 951. Okay, that's good. Let's see, what else we got? Onion Share, Qbit Torrent. Yeah, we did all that. Mate, new image, GNU image. Image Magic. This one, I don't know. I think I might take that one off because that one updates like crazy. I mean, I think they do updates on Image Magic like daily or something. It's just crazy how much time they do that. Sound, yeah. Games, 1. Yeah, that's kind of lame for the programming. Then we have BleachBit, which does a secure erase, allegedly. Gparted, hardware list error. Let's see, does it know? It's only going to be virtualized ones, but that's all right. See what it finds. Oops. Yeah, I have to have 1 failure per video. Oh, how about 2? Is this asking me for my sudo? Or my root? I didn't give it a root password when I built this. Yeah, this wants user root. Okay, fine. I didn't give it a root password, so I'd have to go and create one. We got HTOP. We can go look at that. Probably should have, well, 471. Probably should reboot and then check to make sure there's no leftover junk in memory. 66 tasks, 132 threads. Pretty lean. Certainly a lot leaner than what I've been using. Let's see how many, let's see if there's any services up at all. Nope, none. No network services up at all. Yeah, I don't see a 1. Well, there's the operating system ones, but yeah, that's okay. No network ones. So they weren't lying. Let's see. Install Parrot. We already did that. Disk image mounter. I don't see a backup utility on here. Unless it's here. Right there. Okay. Good. Might need that. Edit. Lots of editors. That's nice to see. I've seen that on a couple of other distributions lately where Redshifts included. That's good. Vim. Code editing redefine. Oh, this must be Visual Studio. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of IDEs, but I do use one that I like, but not a big fan. So, what else can we look at? One thing I see that's missing here, that's in the, of course, that it shows up as one of the tools, is let's see. Let's do down here, and we'll do a term. Oh, no thanks. And let's see what we got. Root terminal. I think I'll do Mate. Xterm's not my favorite. So let's see what we got for a kernel. 5.5. I thought they said 5.6. That documentation, it might be a little ahead of itself. Unless the update didn't really actually run and we're missing some. Aha! Gotcha. Yeah, go. Nothing like checking, huh? I'll be back. This will be a while. There was a lot of packages there. So it's done. It's kind of unnerving when you sit here and you watch library after library after library getting installed. But let's go back over here and let's do a reboot and see if this is still going to run. That might have been well, so far so good. At least the grub came into the right place. That's a good sign. At least that much of it got done. Let's see if I've got enough system to actually, good. Yeah, that's a little unnerving when you just, I mean, there was just library after library. Whew, man. All right, so let me find a term, and we'll go check. I think I saw 5.5 being updated, so I suspect this will still be, yep, 5.5. So we're still under 5.5, and that was from 0425. So they have not yet upgraded this to 5.6, so I'll have to change my slides if I ever do an update on this in the future. But yeah, so it's 5.5. Anyway, my impressions. Oh, I need to check and see how much disk space it's taking. I bet 7 gig. Nope, 5.8. Still, that's an awful lot. It's a lot of packages. Let's just see. 2045, and I don't have NeoFetch out here. We'll see if my count agrees with them. $2,048, and I said what? Way back up here, 45. So close enough. Not, I mean, that's not the heaviest system I've ever seen installed. So my impressions of this as a daily driver. So the thing that I remember about Parrot, is that it wants to be run. It really wants to run in containerized mode, is what I recall. But I don't see any indication of that. No, it's I don't see any indication of that. So I suppose if you were using this in the live environment, yeah, you're probably going to be in modes that are protected, because it's not going to let you persist stuff outside of the areas that are defined. I would imagine that would be the home directory, but to be honest, have not looked. I'll put a comment in the show notes below. So, I mean, basically, you have a Debian release with updates, right? And because this is a rolling release, I use this as a daily driver. I'm not a big fan of rolling releases in daily driving modes. For experimental purposes, or just wanting to, build this up and use it for pen testing the environment here at home, yeah, I could see doing that. Definitely could see doing that. I would prefer to build up my own environment, but I'm just kind of that way. Oh, by the way, these up here, this is your processor status, memory status, and that's network. So yeah, if you click on them, it's just going to take you into the system monitor. So yep. But that's nice. I mean, and kind of a Mac look to the buttons and stuff. Of course, you can fully customize this any way you want. I think this is Bash. Yep, Bash shell. So yeah, the pretty colors. But anyway, that's all I had for today. Hope you enjoyed this brief look at Parrot OS Home. And I'll probably be doing one on Parrot OS security. To just be complete and get into some of that. I have to be careful, because YouTube kind of frowns, like I said, on teaching people tools like this, unless it's under. I mean, I know a number of guys that do it for pen testing. I'm not an official pen tester. I would be more interested in making sure that the network here doesn't have something left open in it. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all I had for today. Hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe. As always, hope to see you again real soon. And bye for now.